Well, I think it's a balance like anything else. I think the new model, and again, I think people often think about cloud. One of the big things when they think about public cloud services, so I'm going to be putting critical business systems and the data that goes with them out on a hoster's or service provider's site. That always makes people nervous. If it's not within their own physical four walls or within a firewall within their own data center. So I think people do worry about that. I think it's legitimate, but I think that what most customers will find, particularly when you look at the mid-sized companies and the smaller companies, is that these service providers, whether it's Amazon, Google, or the HPs, IBMs, Dells, who are also getting in, Oracle and others, that they are spending so much money on securing their cloud services that it's probably a step up for many IT shops in terms of the level of security that they'll have. I think another dimension around security in the cloud too is that I think a lot of CIOs and IT staffs and even some of the vendors are thinking the wrong way about cloud. They're saying, well, the data's out in the cloud. Now, how do I use conventional IT security approaches to secure it? And the reality is that that's probably the wrong way to think about it. When you're putting data out in the cloud, one of the reasons you're doing that is you actually want to be able to have partners, have employees, have customers be able to access some of that data. And so if you put it in a vault, you lose the value. So what I'm hearing about more and more often now is, are there new techniques for securing data that's out in the open, if you will, that's in a cloud? So I've heard the term, people talk about camouflaging your data. And often that could be encrypting it out in the cloud or double encrypting. Or sometimes I've heard lately of people distributing data across multiple, in effect striping data across multiple cloud providers. So to me, I think, yes, security always is a concern, but I think the most important thing CIOs need to think about is how can we not use the old security techniques in the new environment, but actually use the capabilities of the new environment to come up with new ways to secure. And I think there are a lot of innovators who are going to probably make a lot of money developing these type of solutions and marketing them to the CIOs.
I don't think the security risks or challenges are any different in a cloud world than they are in the current way we deliver services. We have certain obligation to protect data. There is data that is out there and transparent, and we can really look to see where it doesn't matter that it's not kind of hosted in a walled community. There is data that we will need to protect, and we will need to keep that walled gate, that gate round. It's just a case of thinking about it in a different way. It's about understanding which data does need to be protected and which data doesn't need to be protected as much, and what the kind of services are that will cope with the different kind of risk appetite for people. So, for example, let me try and put some examples around that. There are probably about 70% of government data is already out there. Okay, so in terms of we have to give information out to the public on terms of freedom of information questions that come into us. There's lots of things that isn't kind of personal data that we can actually put out there as well. Does that really need to sit in a walled garden? Does it really need to kind of sit in something that is so secure? Because security does cost, okay? But then again, there's information. So would I put my immigration system in a cloud-based infrastructure at this point in time? I'm not sure I would, because I'm not sure that we have got the protections around that data. However, in saying that, the cloud market is maturing, and there are people who are now coming to us with accredited services, or services that are soon to be accredited at the kind of what we call impact level 3, which is data which is fairly restricted.